Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. I hope everybody is having a amazing Saturday so far. I just got back home. I took this van to my mechanic to get an oil change on it, plus to do an inspection. I'm getting ready to hit the road again. Uh, Now, I do, for those of you that miss my drive around videos, I still do those videos. In fact, I got another one coming up later today. It's going to be a 2-hour video. So, that will be later today. But, for this video, I want to talk about mental health. Now, there's a lot of people going through a lot of craziness. And that craziness, this madness that's going on today, is causing a lot of people to suffer some type of mental health issues. So now I remember during the recession of '08. I mean, I'm not gonna forget this. I was working at a I was working at a I was working as a security officer part time at this uh, it was at this office in Indianapolis, and me and a coworker. Now the coworker, he was a little older than me. He was like maybe 15 years older than I was, and he was explaining to me how he used to have a job that paid six figures, and then when things got bad during the last recession, he lost that job. He had a company car. He had to give the car back, and all the benefits that he was receiving, all that disappeared when the job disappeared. And he went from making six figures to having to take this security job, making at the time $10 an hour. And he was telling me how disappointed he was, how he didn't feel like a man, how he even at some point contemplated on deleting himself, on canceling his prescription of life. And and the reason why he chose against doing that was because, obviously, he's a father, and he didn't want to leave his children without a father. So he ultimately checked into some counseling, and they helped him out, fortunately. But he was explaining how depressed he got. It got so bad that, yeah, at some point he contemplated on canceling his prescription in life. And that's the reason, that conversation never left my mind. And we've had this conversation. Now, when we talked, this was back in, I want to say, 2011. So that conversation never left my mind. And I want to, and that's the reason why I got to thinking about that conversation. And I just want to, I thought, well, you know what? There's probably a few people out here that are probably starting to think about canceling their prescription of life. In fact, I made a video. The video I made, which has got over 20,000 views, which for my channel is excellent. The video called "Everyone Should Prepare for Homelessness." I want to say maybe about a few days or so ago, there was a person in the comment section that commented, and I forgot exactly how they worded it. But basically, the way they worded it was, they would basically cancel their prescription of life before they would consider living van life. And although living van life is a challenge, especially when you have to do it full time, and you may have went from living in sticks and bricks to living in a van, not because you want to, not because you're traveling the country, but because you have to out of necessity. Now, I don't know if this individual was joking around. I would like to think they were, but then there's a part of me that's kind of thinking, yeah, they probably serious, because if they were in a situation like that, they might consider canceling their prescription of life. So now I'm going to just share with you guys how I deal with my mental issues, if you will. Now, for starters, I am not diagnosed with anything mental, but just due to how things transpired at my last job, I'm not gonna lie to you folks, it does weigh heavy on my mind. I mean, now there is somebody earlier that commented on the video of I walked off my job. Now what? I mean, the video I made a couple of days ago, there is someone that commented and they explained that it's better that I just stay there, that I stayed there, and that they fire me as opposed to me walking off. Because they're explaining if I walk off, then I give the company the benefit of the doubt, and blah blah blah. Now, for starters, here in the state of Alabama, just because a company terminates your position doesn't necessarily mean you automatically qualify for any type of unemployment benefits. So let's start there. And even if I knew that I would qualify for unemployment benefits or severance pay or any of that kind of stuff, I mean, to me, my mental health is more important than a little bit of money. Now, let's not get it twisted. Money is important too. I'm not saying money's not important. I'm not that type of fella. But I'm just saying my mental health is more important than that money. Which is, I mean, and I tried to make things work at that job. It just got to the point the other day where it's like, enough is enough. I've had it. And, if I would have stayed there much longer, I would have snapped on somebody. And I didn't want to do anything or say anything that I would regret later that could potentially carry some consequences. So it was in my best interest mentally to just walk off the job and figure out something else. I mean, like I told you guys, I have a little bit of money set aside. So, I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to just go ahead and just figure out something else. So, but anyhow, another thing which I'm doing to keep my mental health in check is, I notice a lot of you been putting comments in the comment section talking about Bidenomics, Biden this, Biden that. Now, for starters, for the record, do I approve what's going on in the current political climate? No, I don't. But at the same time, I am not going to at the same time, I am not going to put too much energy into politics. That's not to say I'm not going to go vote when it's time to vote. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying that, in the meantime, between now and whenever it's time to vote, I'm not going to exert too much energy into politics. And here's the reason why. I mean, for one, if I do, all I'm going to do is make myself upset. And I'm going to be upset for what? I mean, here's a fact of the matter, whether you like it or not. Even if I go vote, or a group of us goes vote, and the politician that we feel ought to win wins, the people with the deepest pockets are going to still manipulate that political climate. And the people with the deepest pockets are going to most likely be many of these corporations that have been laying many of you off. Now, I, for one, I do not have the money to be able to purchase any of these politicians, neither do most of you. I mean, I would like to think that I would like to think that the average American vote counts for something. I would like to think it does, and maybe it does. At this point, I'm not even confident to say yes it does or no it doesn't. I don't know, and I don't think many of you know. But one thing I do know is the majority of us do not have the money necessary to be able to manipulate any political climate, which is what I mean by purchasing a politician. And since I don't have that kind of capital, I just assume that, I'm not going to exert too much energy into politics. And what I mean by that is, I'm not gonna go out here and dislike a person because they voted a certain way. I'm gonna just give that person the benefit of the doubt and just assume that they most likely are a little politically ignorant, like most people are politically ignorant. But even if they think they knew what they were doing, I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter to me. I mean, my attitude these days is regardless of your race, regardless of who you may have voted for, or whether you voted or you didn't vote, if you're rocking me, I'm rocking with you. Wherever I need to go to obtain the necessary resources in order for me to survive and live my best life, I'm going to go. Period, point blank. I mean, for me, it's bigger than the Democrats versus the Republicans, the conservatives versus the liberals. To me, it's bigger than that. There's more than that. That's how I feel. Like, I made a video yesterday, basically, in a way you can say I was kind of advertising Alabama for those that wanted to live here in Alabama. But don't get it twisted. If I feel that I have to sell this house and leave Alabama to go somewhere else to where I feel the resources are going to be more accessible to me for survival and also for me to live my best life, I will sell this house and be up out of here in a second. Let's not get it twisted. I am about survival. All this fighting each other because of how somebody voted, or whether that person voted or not. All this fighting each other over race, man, fuck all that. Man, we all American people, regardless of race, regardless of how you voted, or whether you voted or you didn't vote. We all American people at the end of the day. I don't care what region of the country you're from. We're all American people. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like I said a second ago, none of us have the capital to be able to manipulate any political climate. So it makes no freaking sense for us to be fighting each other over some bullshit. So yeah, and my advice to all of you is to kind of follow, what I'm saying. I mean, you may not agree with what I'm saying, but hopefully at some point you'll understand at least where I come from. I mean, your best bet is to wherever you gotta go live in order to obtain the necessary resources for yourself and or your family is where you need to be. Who's ever rocking with you, rocketh them back. It don't matter what race a person is. It don't matter whether the person voted one way or another or they didn't vote at all. It don't matter. It don't matter to me, and it shouldn't matter to you. Alright, sorry about that, folks. I got cut off. I ran out of space, so I had to go back and free some space up. But anyways, as I was saying before I got cut off, I mean, I know that if I don't get up out of here and I stick around the house, I'm going to drive myself crazy. I'm going to start thinking negative thoughts. Not negative thoughts in terms of canceling my prescription of life. That's not who I am. I'm talking reckless thoughts of I might decide to jump on Craigslist and buy some crap that I really don't need. I'm talking about those type of thoughts. And of course, I'll probably end up eating a bunch of garbage food. And, I need to, and another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the gym and start working out, and I'm going to start working on my health. Because, without my health, I have nothing. So I need to get back to the gym, start working on my health. And that's what I'm going to do personally to keep my mental health in check. I mean, and I'm not ashamed to tell you guys that I'm going through some mental health stuff right now. And because honestly, there's a lot of you that are going through mental health stuff for different reasons. So, if you've been through some crazy stuff and it's starting to affect you mentally, I'm here to let you know you're not alone. Other people are going through it. I mean, granted, not everybody is going to grab a camera like me and tell the world about it, but trust me, a lot of people are going through some mental health issues right now just due to the uncertainty of what's going on in this current economy and other stuff like that. So, if you're going through mental health, no, you're not crazy. Now, granted, I'm not a doctor, so I can't really give you any kind of medical advice. I mean, all I can say is if you feel you need to go see somebody professional, go ahead and make that appointment and go take care of that business and get better. Now, me personally, I'm not a fan of taking a lot of those antidepressant medications. I rather, like, if I'm feeling some kind of way, I'd rather sit around and think, okay, why do I feel this way? And then once I figure out why I feel that way, then I'm gonna do my best to figure out a solution to how I can get better and overcome those negative feelings. Now, obviously, if I get to the point where I can't figure out what the hell's going on, then yeah, I'll check myself into a professional and sit down and talk. And again, this is not medical advice. This is just something that I personally do for myself. And personally, I don't even like seeing a lot of psychologists. I mean, if I have to, I will. But fortunately, I'm not even close to that point to where I feel that's necessary. And the scary thing is, it's hard to find somebody good to where you can sit down, you can talk, you can have a honest conversation, and they will actually give you some suggestions of how you can better your situation without doping you up full of medication with all kind of side effects, not to mention the money that you'll have to pay for some of them. So that's why with me, before I go check in somewhere and see a professional, I rather try to figure it out for myself the best I can. Alright folks, hopefully you guys got something out of the video. If you like what I do here on the channel, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel. Now, and again, for those of you that are still wondering if I'm doing drive around videos anymore at this point, yes I am. In fact, I got a 2-hour video to where I drive around coming up. Where am I going to be driving around? Well, that's up to you. That's for you to find out. That's for me to know and for you to find out. So that video will be coming up later on today. So I thank every last one of you for tuning in and watching another episode of Andrew's Life. Stay blessed.